Good evening, you're watching Just the News. I'm Mamata Banerjee. We have a lot to get through today, but we start off with Birbhum violence. That's our top story for the day. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee visited Boktoi village in Bengal's Birbhum today and lashed out at the police, stating that the incident could have been avoided if the police had gone immediately. Now, to give you a bit of a context, 8 people, including women and children, were killed after at least 8 houses in the area were attacked and set on fire. And this was following the murder of Deputy Pradhan Bharu Sheikh in Boktoi under Rampurhat on Monday evening. Now, she went on to ask the police to arrest Anarul Sheikh, who is the president of the bloc. Local residents had complained against Anarul, accusing him of conspiring the Boktoi firing incident. Now, he was then arrested soon after Mamata Banerjee ordered the police to do so. Now, Ms. Banerjee also spoke to members of the special investigation team formed to probe the violence, taking details of the investigation carried out so far. Meanwhile, the NHRC has taken suo motu cognizance of the violence. It said, and I quote, National Human Rights Commission chairperson has taken suo motu cognizance of the Birbhum killings in West Bengal. Probe would be carried out by NHRC team there, end quote. Meanwhile, West Bengal governor has on Thursday called the violence in Birbhum a shameful event and an indelible scar on governance. Now, speaking to ANI, he said, and I quote, the burning of people alive in a democracy in this manner is very painful. I appeal to the government to learn the lessons rather than offering defense, end quote. Meanwhile, the Calcutta High Court has reserved its order in the suo motu petition in Birbhum violence case. Now, yesterday we told you that the court had asked for a report by today afternoon. The court also took on record the case diary submitted by the state investigating authorities pertaining to the ongoing investigation. The state government, however, contended that 31 CCTV cameras have been installed in the scene of the crime. Reportedly, 2 FIRs have been filed, one over Deputy Pradhan Bharu Sheikh's killing and the other over the attack on the houses. Now, according to PTI, a senior police officer has said that at least 22 people have been arrested so far. In other news right now, former JNU student leader Umar Khalid has been denied bail in connection with a case alleging a larger conspiracy in the Delhi riots of 2020. Now, he was arrested in September 2020 under the sections of the UAPA, which is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Senior advocate appearing for Umar Khalid said the entire charge sheet against him is a fabrication and based on truncated video clips of his speech shown by news channels. Now, the violence had erupted during the protests against CAA and NRC, northeastern part of Delhi, in February 2020. The clashes left 53 people dead and over 700 injured. In an update now on the hijab controversy in Karnataka, the Supreme Court has refused urgent hearing of pleas challenging Karnataka High Court's order, which basically upheld hijab ban in educational institutions. Now, the court asked the lawyer not to sensationalize the issue. Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana said, and I quote, this has nothing to do with the exams, don't sensationalize, end quote. Now, this comes after there were requests that the matter be heard urgently, as it would otherwise stop the girl students from appearing for their exams. The top court also declined to give any specific date to hear the petition. Now, if you remember, the Karnataka government had said that there would be no separate exams held for students who are missing exams. And there have been reports that students have been missing exams post the High Court verdict. On March 15th, if you remember, the Karnataka High Court had upheld hijab ban in classrooms, saying that it was not an essential religious practice of the Islamic faith. Also in the news, rejecting Chinese foreign minister's remarks on Kashmir at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Pakistan, India's External Affairs spokesperson Arinder Bakshi has said, and I quote, matters related to JNK are entirely the internal affairs of India, end quote. Now, Wong made the comments while speaking at the opening ceremony of a meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, hosted by Pakistan on Tuesday. Post that, in a statement, Mr. Arindam Bakshi has said, and I quote, "Other countries, including China, have no locus standi to comment. They should note that India refrains from public judgment of their internal issues," end quote. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court today transferred investigation against former Police Commissioner Param Bir Singh to the CBI. Now, Param Bir Singh, former Mumbai Police Commissioner, has been accused of misconduct and corruption. Now, the court said that the thorough investigation is required to regain faith of people in the state police. Also in the news, Congress President Sonia Gandhi has convened a meeting of party general secretaries and state in charges on the 26th of March to discuss organizational elections, the party's membership drive, and the current political situation. And this comes after Congress's defeat in the 5 assembly elections. Congress General Secretary K.C. Venugopal will chair the meeting at the party headquarters, and all general secretaries and state in charges have been asked to attend. Moving on now to our other big story. It's day 29 of Ukraine crisis. This is the latest update. NATO leaders have held emergency summit in Brussels. The alliance will approve major increases of forces in Eastern Europe at the summit. Now, NATO's Secretary General has said that 4 new battle groups will be sent to Slovakia, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Romania. Now, a joint statement issued by leaders in NATO says that they are taking measures to ensure the security and defense of allies across all domains and with a 360-degree approach. The statement also went on to urge Russia's president to, and I quote, "immediately stop this war and withdraw military forces from Ukraine," end quote. In the meantime, Ukraine president has asked NATO to provide Ukraine with military assistance without restrictions as its forces battle to save people and the country's cities from Russia's onslaught. The UK has, in the meantime, extended sanctions to include 65 more Russian individuals and organizations, including the Wagner group of mercenaries. Now, speaking ahead of a NATO summit, the Prime Minister of UK said that the West must tighten the economic vice on Vladimir Putin. Also, in an update on the number of casualties, the UN's Human Rights Office has said that it has confirmed at least 1,035 civilians to have been killed in the invasion on Ukraine and 1,650 others wounded since Russia started its offensive. The death toll includes 90 children as well. Also in the news, a Russian journalist has been killed by shelling in Kyiv while on a reporting assignment. The Insider reported this, saying that Oksana Bolina was killed on Wednesday when she was documenting the damage of a Russian shelling of the Podil district of the capital. Now, a civilian was also killed and 2 people who were accompanying her were wounded and hospitalized. Also, French car maker Renault has announced that it will suspend operations at its Moscow factory over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And this came after backlash because the company was one of the few international businesses to have restarted operations at its Russia factory this week. Now it's decided to suspend its operations again. In response to all of the sanctions that are coming in, Russia's president has said that Russia will only accept payments in rubles for gas deliveries to unfriendly countries, and that's what the president said, which include all EU members. Now, following this announcement, the ruble, which has plummeted since the start of the Ukraine conflict, strengthened against the dollar and euro, while gas prices witnessed a surge as well. In a tit-for-tat move, Russia has announced that it was expelling US diplomats. Now, the move comes in retaliation for Washington's move to remove 12 of Moscow's representatives to the UN based in New York. Now, the United States expelled 12 members of the Russian diplomatic mission to the UN in early March amid the Ukraine crisis on charges of espionage. Also, here's India's reaction. India has said today that its response has been consistent and it will remain consistent. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has told Rajya Sabha that India's foreign policy decisions are made in national interest. Now, he also said that India calls for immediate cessation of violence and stands for peace. He said, and I quote, "We are very clear on our principles. Our policy is very much guided by our belief that the international order must respect territorial integrity and sovereignty of the states." End quote. Also, India, along with 12 other UNSC members, abstained on a vote on Russian-led draft resolution on Ukraine. The draft resolution failed to get adopted as it did not get the required number of votes. Now, it was co-sponsored by Syria, North Korea, and Belarus. Russia and China voted in favor of the resolution, while there were no countries voting against. Russian resolution, which makes no reference to its invasion of Ukraine, calls upon all parties concerned to allow safe and unhindered passage to destinations outside of Ukraine, to facilitate safe and unhindered access to humanitarian assistance to those in need in and around Ukraine. On to sports news right now, and this was the big news of the day. MS Dhoni has stepped down as Chennai Super Kings captain. All-rounder Ravindra Jadeja will take over the captaincy of CSK for IPL 2022. Now, CSK in a statement said that Dhoni, however, will continue to represent the team this season and beyond. Under Dhoni, CSK has won the IPL title 4 times, that is in 2010, 2011, 2018 and 2021. And one piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin: husband-wife duo Ruchi Kalra and Ashish Mahapatra have become the first Indian couple to each have a unicorn. Now, a unicorn is a company valued over $1 billion. Now, Ruchi Kalra founded Oxizo Financial Services, which is a digital lending startup, and Ashish Mahapatra has founded Off Business. Now, while Off Business had achieved the feat in 2021, Oxizo Financial Services became a unicorn this week. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.